so we live in a sensitive world now. So do you think about things before you say them?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Apparently
good.
not.
Good.
I don't. My only
Me and you
intent.
could be best friends anytime you want.
My
I'll
only
give you my
intent.
number, brother. Call me anytime. Anytime you want to
Tell
hang
him
out.
the story, the Snoop Dogg story, when you showed up to a meeting and you realized that you could be yourself.
So we were at the Justin Bieber's roast.
Okay, Comedy Central.
Yeah, Comedy Central. We did that roast, and I love Snoop. I love Snoop. Snoop actually taught me a valuable lesson: be who you are. So because my father's a drill sergeant, it's professionalism. So I'm talking the top execs of Hollywood are there, and they're all just chilling, and I'm hello, and then we start to do the roast, and I smelled and Snoop and Martha Stewart, they coming out, and Snoop's just going crazy, talking how he talks and doing what he does and shaking people's hands, and they're loving him, and I'm like, what the is going on? Like, I thought that was the part that where you had to hide it and do in the back. He's doing it on stage during the roast.
Snoop's.
And they were loving it. And I was like, you know what? That.
Yeah.
No more all the way corporate guy. Like, I'm going to still be corporate, but I'm going to be Shaq. I'm similar to you, but I don't go as wild with the joke. Like, you don't get scared saying some of the
Oh yeah, I regret stuff. I'll regret the Maya Angelou comment.
Yeah.
I'm certain I will. Like, I'll get.
We're gonna put her in the thumbnail too.
But
It'll be a floating Maya Angelou head over your shoulder.
Okay, but how come we live in a world where people can't tell that's a joke?
I think it's starting to turn.
It turns.
It's.
No, that was a
I
joke.
think we're in like a 1 year run right now where it's starting to go the other way, where comedy's getting a lot more raunch, just more honest, and people aren't as afraid. They're not placating anymore. At least that's what it seems like from the outside.
I feel like everyone understands your intent. Like, if we're here with Fauci, and I say, wow, that's a different conversation. Maybe I know that's the only big guy I could think of. But that's how stupid I am. I'm like, if Winston Churchill was here, but like, I think I always land on, you knew my intent was to make you laugh. If it hurt your feelings, I apologize. I had a moment in Chicago. It was an all black club. It was called Riddles. And I was like bombing, and someone said something, man, I'm gonna whip your or something, and I was like, oh, I fought a black guy one time, and the room's like quiet, and I was like, yeah, it was at night, it was a tough fight, like I could barely see him, and And I was like, I'm highlighted by the night sky. All I see is a thumbnail streaking through. I thought it was a shooting star. And so, but like, you say it and then the room pops and you go, okay.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing. That's the fun part of comedy, is like taking a chance and having it land and go like.
I fought a black guy and that's funny.
And then this big dude came up to me. He was like, you're funny, man. And he says something about, I'm glad you didn't make fun of disabled kids because I have a disabled son. I'm dealing with that. And he started talking to me about it. And I was like, you don't ever want to ruin someone's night. Like, that's not my intent. My intent is for you to have the best night of your life. So I measure it in my head sometimes, especially when I'm taking it on stage. But like last night, I was reckless. I was drunk.
So you're in Atlanta. You talked about Chicago. You're working on another special.
Yeah.
Does each city give you something different?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Atlanta's like my town, because all my buddies live here, and like there's so much great cultural history here. So like I just went through Atlanta, but you can't translate. Not everyone knows. My wife's from here too, and so not everyone. It doesn't translate.
Right.
Like, you can do local stuff, but when you do a special, you got to do it for the person sitting on the couch. Like, I have a few rules. I don't mention what city I'm in. I don't come up and go, "What's up, Cleveland?" Because if you're home, you're like, Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I tell a joke right away. I rip my shirt off. I tell a joke right away. I want a joke within the first 7 seconds of the special.
And how many Netflix specials do you have?
I think 5.
Damn.
5. Can I tell you? I was going to say that your Shaq and Cedric's All-Star Comedy Jam changed the way I did comedy. So it was 2006. I had Georgia and Isla were babies. I was sitting there. I was not making any money on the road. And on the list, and this is how pivotal, it was Tommy Davidson, it was Ari Spears, it was D. Ray Davis, and another dude, and Kevin Hart closed it. Now, this is, so I'm D. Ray energy, I'm Ari's energy. I worked the room, and they all did. If you remember this roast, or this comedy, everyone came up, worked the room. What's up with the pimp hat, where the girl, like everyone kind of played the room. And then Kevin Hart went up, and he talked about his family. And I was like, that's a weird choice. But then I realized, oh, that's the unifier. Everyone's got kids. Everyone has kids. And especially in that room, everyone's about the same age as him and their kids are the same age. And I went, you don't have to try to be edgy. You can just relate to people. And I get chill bumps thinking about it, but I had it on DVR. I used to watch the way he came up because he had great energy, but he was really relating to everyone. And I was like, oh, you don't have to go up and try to be the edgiest guy, which is what I was trying to do at the time. You can just talk about your life and it'll translate. And there's a few specials I've seen, but that one in particular.
It just hit you.
Yeah. I ran into Sed at a restaurant. My mom lost her. I don't even think she knew who it was until like I introduced them. She was like, oh my God, Cedric. My dad's like, who the fuck is he? But I told him, I said that comedy thing changed the way I did stand up. If you look at what I was doing up until then, it was like horrible jokes. And then my next special, I told a story about my daughter putting her finger in the dog's mouth. And everyone was like, yeah, I got crazy kids too.
And your life changed.
Say that again?
Man, I made so much money off that one kid.
Say that again.
She was I walked into the room, there were babies. This is a good story. This is the first joke I had that took me to where I'm at now.
That's so fun.
I walked in, there were babies and they were laughing hysterically. I go, guys, it's early. What's going on? George is like, Daddy, you got to see baby Isla's trick. I said, what is it? She goes, it's better if you see it than if we explain it. She goes, show him, Isla. So Isla, real quick, takes her finger, shoves it up her and puts it in the dog's mouth. I'm like, what the? She's like, no, calm down. You don't get it. I go, I'm a comedian. I don't see comedy in this. She goes, no, the dog doesn't know it. And I was like, okay, do it one more time. I wasn't watching the dog. Like I was watching the finger in the. So then, by the 10th time, we're howling and the dog's still taking it. Leanne comes down. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, you got to see baby Isla's new trick. She's like, what is it? George and I are like, it's better if you see it than if we explain it. You're not going to get it. So yeah, that joke I told, a good friend of mine, Ian Bagg, was like, that is where you should be going. Like talk about your family.
When your kids start doing stuff, are you like, that's material?
Yeah.
Like, almost immediately.
Yeah, and then the struggle is to create it. Because like
that's what was the next process? Like it happens, you go, there's something there.
Some stuff was
and then what's the lab? Like how do you get in the lab and build out that joke?
So there are many interactions and you get your interactions and then you try to weave them into a story. So I can give you a perfect example. I had two bits. One, Isla started putting her deodorant in the refrigerator, and I was like, what the f-? And Leanne's like, don't even ask. And then I saw her, she took her finger and rubbed it across, on the DL, rubbed it across the deodorant, rubbed it under her nose, put it, cap on, back in the refrigerator. I go, what's going on? She's like, mind your own business, and walks away. So I had this joke about that. And then one night I ate too many edibles, and Isla came into my room in the middle of the night, and I'm overserved. I mean, I like literally freaking out, and she comes up next to me. She's like, hey, I'm wide awake. Leanne's asleep. She goes, do you believe in time travel? I'm like, yes, I do. She was like, I go, why? And she goes, that's all I need to know. Good night, and leaves. And I was like, what the? So then I take those two bits, and I mash them up, and I go, now I'm laying in bed thinking, there's a 33-year-old version of my daughter in her room. What did he say? Okay, your dad's going to die, but we can save his life. Take your deodorant, put it in the refrigerator. Time travel smells like we're going to rub it. Like, so you try to mash them up.
Yeah.
But you got to be free with it. She said something, I'm going to put this in the special. I haven't worked it out yet, so know that it's in its infancy. She said something so wild the other day. She goes, why do they still use dogs for canine units? I go, as opposed to? She said, gorillas. I could not stop fucking laughing at my visual, and this is what my job is, a gorilla in like a helmet with goggles on.
With like a vest.
With a vest. Just, and I was, yeah. They're like, Coco, calm down. And then you hear the terrorist going, okay, that does it. Is that a gorilla? Like, so like I got those, but then the work is, and that's why I do shows last night, because in a club you can around. When you're in an arena, it's very indulgent to around. I do it, but.
Right. I want to end with this. I know that coming and hanging out with Shaq, especially for someone like you, is a big deal.
Yeah.
I want to get the out of the way. Is there anything that you've always wanted to say to Shaq, or you've always wanted to ask Shaq that this is the perfect time for it to happen?
Before you answer, I give you permission to say whatever the hell you want to say.
No.
No, when you
Well,
talk,
starting
no,
now.
Please, no. I'm talking about in any one of your stand-ups. You want to say anything crazy about the Shaq? You have my permission.
No, I honestly, I'm a little overwhelmed. Like all my questions are like, I think I got them out. Like, you know, like I don't know. I just, everything about like, when you talk about Snoop, he was like, he's one of my heroes, you know? And when you hang out with someone like that, like it's so much better to just shut up and sink it and drink it in. Like I remember I was trying to rap Snoop's songs back to him. He's like,
Let me hear.
he was like, I did not say that. And I was like, you sure? And he was like, I wrote the song. And I was like, you drop rhymes like potatoes? And he goes, why would I say that? And I go, you said it. I'm certain you did. And then I played the lyric for him and he sang it back. He's like, I didn't say, I dropped rhymes like bombs. I thought you said potatoes. He's like, why? And then got to hang out with Snoop. I'm going to tell you my favorite Snoop story ever real quick.
Yeah.
So George, my oldest, got caught smoking. And I was with Snoop when I found out. And I was like, I was on the phone with Ann. I was like, I'm going to light that up. We're going to make her cry. I go, where'd you get the weed? She goes, it's your weed. She's a thief too. I was like, all right. And Snoop looked at me and he goes, no, you're not going to do that. Not to my niece. He's like, what's happening with you is you got a bunch of feelings as a dad where she doesn't need you anymore. She's growing up. And that's with your head as a man and as a dad. And what you're about to do is take all that broken shit and take it out on her, and then she'll resent you. And I'm sitting there going, when did you become a doctor? Like, I thought we were just going to and spray champagne on but like, so sometimes when you just get to be around greatness,
Yeah.
you get to be better.